Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 57 of Powerbombshells. I am Sam. That is Mel. We are not your typical broads talking about not your typical wrestling, and we've got a lot to talk about today. But
A
first,
lot? Is it Mania week? What?
most. We're almost there.
Well,
Just
I
a
guess
few. We're just like, well, no, by next week we'll be at the end of it. By this time next
this
week
is.
we'll be previewing, we'll be recapping things and previewing night 2 of Mania.
Yeah, technically Sunday is the first day of the week, so
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah,
beginning
it
of Mania
is.
work.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
go home week, yay!
It is go home week. There's a lot going. There's
Go
so much going
home.
on. There was already a lot going on last week, and now we're just we're at the end of the long 6-week stretch where there's just a ton of wrestling.
Yeah, I'm like gearing up for the wrestling everything.
Yeah. I think I saw somebody was saying that they are gonna, because they cover wrestling for a website and they have a bunch of stuff there, and they're like, I'm gonna treat it like I'm snowed in and I'm just gonna like get all my shopping done and I'm just like not gonna leave my house. And I
It's
was
probably
like,
smart.
that's pretty much what I did last year. I'll be doing something similar this year, except I will be leaving the house for a little bit next Saturday because instead of watching night 1 of Mania, I'm going to a wrestling show.
Wrestling show.
I will
Right.
still be watching wrestling. I will just be at a show.
Yes, but that's like an important wrestling show that you
It
need
is.
to be at, and it's also a local promotion, so you want
Gotta support
that,
them, and then there's
I'll take care of the WrestleMania bullshit.
Yeah, and I was like, and I've seen so far, I was like, there's like, I don't know the full card from night 1. I did see like what the opening match is gonna be, and I was like, oh, thank God I'm missing that. I don't care about Cena versus Theory. So
I mean, you want to talk about no build? Jesus, come on.
Where are the stories?
I want a match. No. Okay. Awesome. Moving on. Just smack that right on that
Also,
card.
before we continue, I guess I should ask, where's your hat?
Where is my hat? Oh my gosh.
Before people start yelling in the comments.
All right.
There you go.
I'm going to go with my good friends, the Everett Silvertips. Out in Everett, the junior hockey team there.
Nice.
We used to sponsor once upon a long ass time ago. Love those guys.
Good.
Yes, they were great. I love junior. I mean, I love hockey in general. I had a Division III school, college in my town, and they were very good hockey team. So we were like season ticket holders. So as long as back as I can remember.
Right.
I mean, Maine's practically Canada anyway in everybody's mind. So
that is true. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you know. But it's
oh, see, here we go. Nikki was wondering where the hat was. So
wow.
We got it straight out. Hey, we made it a couple minutes. We didn't
know what part of it is that Bob he like usually he's home today, but he had to do his shoot job today because they do a one Sunday a year thing.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like I'm discombobulated.
I'm sure.
I'm a single dog mom today. I gotta get that squared away. It's like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like, I understand. But you got your hat on now and we're all good.
Yeah. Hat. Everything is safe. Good for WrestleMania week.
Oh, I can't wait to see what you're gonna come up with for next weekend.
Yeah, you know what? I should wear a special hat for next weekend because there's so much going on, and well, I'll look around. We'll dig through the hat bin. It's pretty. You go. I wish you could see the pile of hats. But, made their way.
You might have to take a picture. We might have to put it over on our Instagram.
I might have to take a picture. Like. We could almost do like a gallery of hats so far.
Here we go. We could put up a Twitter poll and have people vote for which hat you should wear. Which hat? Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Which hat do you like most?
Get some interaction on the Twitter. Even though I have heard from Jeff Cobb, the Twitter is not real. So
it's fake, in fact, which is awesome.
Right. So maybe
I had been treating it like real life this whole time.
Yeah. I'm so glad that Jeff Cobb told us that because I was confused.
A smart and compassionate man.
He is.
He's
right. He's gonna apparently he's coming to knock on Kenny's door. is what he said, and he hopes he answers it.
Yeah, I watched the
I saw their promo because he cut a promo like a week ago, and that's what I was looking for. And I found that one. I was like, oh, Jeff Cobb's so good. So Nikki said, and also real quick, that's your story for people who want to know what stories are. It's been carrying out in New Japan, and it's been on Twitter, even though Twitter's not real, it's been there. So you have
what?
They showed the story during Rampage last night. If you didn't watch Rampage last night, they showed a clip. They showed Jeff calling him out. They showed way back from Wrestle Kingdom where Kenny won the belt. So, there's a story.
He made a fair point. He hasn't defended it in 3 months.
Yeah.
Belts are meant to be defended.
Right.
You're going to be a fighting. He's got the IWGP. How about this? Jeff Hawkins forgot. Jeff and Paul, one or the other. Sorry if I'm wrong, if I got you guys crossed, if you're watching or listening for some weird reason. But one of them forgot that Kenny was the IWGP United States champion.
How dare you forget?
And it was like, oh yeah. Like
because he was Kenny Two Belts while he had the trios and the US. He was Kenny Two Belts for a little bit. Now he's just Kenny Uno belt.
Beat Will Ospreay for the United States Championship
sure that's what that banger match of the year was actually
about. It had an actual purpose. It was a title match, not just a regular being a dream match.
Yeah, it had a story, you guys.
I got an idea. Just crazy. If you're about to tweet out, what the fuck is this? Because there's no story on the same device that you could look the story up on, just take a breath. And Google that.
Right. That's why the other day when I was tweeting out, because I wrote an article about who was Vikingo, because I knew people would be asking. And so I was like, well, if you haven't used your Twitter search bar yet, because literally if you type in your Twitter search bar, if you type in Vikingo, not only are you going to see my article and other articles that were written, you will see highlights. You will see all kinds of stuff.
So you don't even have to leave the Twitter app. You don't even need to go to Google. You can do it in Twitter. You can get, and Twitter, because some of the people on Twitter are actually like good at curating their stuff and putting their information out there, will say something and put a link to that source right in the tweet.
I know. Funny how that happens. Wow, it's amazing. And I want to say this yesterday, I was listening to Matt Hardy's podcast, and he had Ethan Page on there this week, which was a really good show. And Ethan was not in character, so it was nice to see. But it was really cool. But like one of the things, so John Alba, who was the host of the show, he was asking, he's like, well, what do you make of all of this stuff about like there wasn't a story for this dream match? And Matt was trying to be diplomatic. He was like, it was for the hardcore fans, and I'm sure they went crazy. And he was like, and that's great that Tony wanted to give them that. He's like, I would have maybe liked a little vignette before, but there were vignettes. There was one on Rampage, and there was one leading into the match. But at the time that they had recorded the interview, the match had not happened. I believe it was earlier Wednesday when they recorded. So he clearly hadn't seen it. But he was like, I can get, he's like, I kind of wish maybe they had done Vikingo having another match prior, which he's like, but maybe Vikingo was only available for one show. But I was like, no, Vikingo's first match in AEW should have been Kenny. Like there's nobody else he could have had a match with in AEW beforehand. But I get what Matt was saying, that Ethan Page was this was great. He was like, why do people care so much what other people do? Like, why do you care how they make their money?
Seriously.
He was like, it doesn't.
Thank you, Ethan Page.
Yeah, he was like,
five.
It doesn't. Yeah, he was like, it doesn't.
I knew that I loved you the first time I saw you wrestle in my Knights of Columbus Hall.
He's wonderful. And yeah, he was like, who cares? He was like, my boss wanted to put on this match. That he was like, it doesn't have, and John Alba was like, yeah, it has nothing to do with my life. Like it doesn't affect my life in any way, that there was not a build up for this match. And Ethan was talking about how like he had seen Vikingo in Mexico from when he worked for Impact Wrestling, and they went down and filmed some shows there. And he was like, he blew my mind. Like, so he's been on my radar for a long time. And he was like, I was really excited. He's like, as a fan, I was really excited for this match. And then he was saying that he kind of he said he kind of likens it to MMA. He was like, because he was like, there are people who like you don't hear of, but they have these crazy records because they're wrestling, they're fighting on having matches on like lower card shows. And then he's like, and then they get on TV, and then he was like, and they have these really great fights or performances, and people love them. And he was like, but so it's the same thing in wrestling. He was like, just because you've never heard of them doesn't mean. I mean, they ended up having like a literal 5-star match with State.
We got a pay-per-view
I
match
was
for
like,
free, ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen.
yeah. So I was
And
just,
I feel like with all of this stuff about, build or I didn't know anything about this Vikingo guy, and I couldn't go look it up, and so I'm going to complain on the internet about it. And it's like, okay, that's cool. Or, you could wait until we get there,
right,
because you already like AEW and you trust them as a product, and you're
right.
obviously tuning in enough to care.
Like, and
This
if it's,
to me seems like kind of nonsensical grousing, because it's a little bit
yeah,
like, well, you could look it up, and you could look it up.
yeah, right,
And you could wait, because you know what the story is? It's in the match. Is that
yeah,
there's this amazing thing where two people can wrestle each other who have like never wrestled each other before,
right.
and tell you a whole story in that
Mhm.
match about their relationship. And if
Right,
you get the
exactly.
guys on the table involved
Mhm.
and you get a little excitement going,
Right.
holy crap, you got yourself a
Yeah, and then,
wrestling
like,
match.
well, and I mean, and I think Ethan and Matt, when Matt makes this point on his show all the time, that people bitch just to bitch, especially the people
It's
who consider
exactly
themselves
it.
smart fans. He was like, they try to book the show, like, they try to say that they could book the show better than the actual booker who owns the, like, who
Armchair
does the
booking.
booking. And he
It's the
was like,
same
yeah,
exact thing as
exactly.
armchair
Yeah, and
quarterbacking.
right,
It's
and that's what his
the
point is. And he's like,
same
he's
thing.
like, basically, like, the internet has emboldened people to think that they know better than the actual people involved. And he was like, he was like, it's one thing to be like, this isn't how I would have done it. Like, I wish I could. He was like, that's one thing to just say that, but to be like, you're doing it wrong, like, because I don't like the way you did it. So yeah, it's just it's so, and when even look at all these matches that we're about to get next week. Most of them
Oh,
aren't going
good
to have
Lord.
builds. Like, we're basically getting a whole bunch of dream matches next weekend, or random, maybe not even dream matches, but matches that are like, oh, that would be really cool to see that happen. They have no build. Ibushi has no build for any of these matches.
Yeah.
You're going to watch them because it's Ibushi. Yay, Daza is here.
Hey, Daza, welcome to the show.
You missed our rant about
No, it's all right. It was only about the internet. We're blowing off some steam about the internet being silly, like
Yeah.
always, getting that out of the way.
And I'm just glad that Vikingo shut them up. And then also Kenny is in multiple storylines, because now look what's happening.
Right.
Like, you have before that, God, Daza, me too. I cannot stand think of it. He said, if I hear one more person go, think of the casuals. I think there's a lot less casuals than people think there are.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a thing, I'm sure, that people passing by.
Yeah,
or
I mean, there's
whatever.
some people who like watch occasionally, and like, I get it. But those matches,
That's in management, that strategy, catering to the 20% or the 10% or whatever, or in this case, probably less than that, because wrestling is incredibly niche. Like, we all love it very much. And so we think it's very like, wrestling is life. It's like,
I mean, do you think that,
no
like,
idea? The average person, I was asked a few months ago how CM Punk was doing in AEW. Like, people, the average Joe on the street has
and you don't
little...
think, like, it's not like you don't see I'm sure Marvel and like Star Wars and all of these things, they're not thinking of the casuals.
No,
I mean, they
quite
do
the opposite.
they
I
do
think a
to
lot
I
of
mean,
their
they do to an extent,
properties,
because obviously you want it to be successful and you want as many people to watch as possible, but they're not sitting there rewriting the script because the casuals might not get it.
I mean, Marvel fans and DCU fans and Star Wars fans have a lot in common with wrestling fans on Twitter, but they also have a lot. All of those things have a lot in common with politics Twitter. So that makes me laugh even harder.
Yeah,
because it's like,
because it's
look at the giant cafeteria. Look at the giant high school cafeterias on fire about something right now. Oh, it's wrestling. Okay.
Right.
It's a really super awesome. Oh, no, we're getting good wrestling free on television. Like,
how dare they give us something
what is
we actually
wrong
want?
with you people? Get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. And people are going to do that, and that's going to drive.
Yeah,
like,
and that's what.
interest.
And Ethan was like, "That's all." He's like, "You're never gonna please everybody."
It's going
But
to
he
drive
was like,
interest for the match. People
Yeah.
showed up. They got to see Hey, how about this? Maybe all your casual fans who don't usually pay attention heard about all the ruckus on Twitter and
Yeah.
showed up on Wednesday night.
Right, exactly. And they got to see again. I got to see a 5-star match for free.
I think it's kind of brilliant in a way. I mean,
And
when you consider the fact that like the best thing in the world is like just let the internet talk about it and advertise for you.
unless you
matter what
annoy
they
people to
say.
the point where they don't want to watch, because I'm seeing a lot of that too, that wrestling fans are annoying other people to the point where they don't want to watch anymore because they're tired of the tribalism, and it's affecting their enjoyment because people bitch about it, which I can because people on Twitter, if you're on Twitter a lot and you're bitching about it, especially because this tribalism, God, it's
I would shut off wrestling Twitter before I would
yeah,
shut off
but that's
wrestling.
what people are doing. But they shouldn't have to mute and block people just because. But
I
yeah,
agree
that's
with
what
you.
they're
I think
doing.
people should be able to act and react in a civilized
Sure.
manner.
Yeah,
100%. And we do it every day. We do it on Twitter. We do it on Discord.
Exactly. You're right.
Do it in our Slack chats.
Yeah.
Like grown-up humans with like maturity and stuff. And I mean, we don't know. We could be arguing with a 13-year-old, but usually we're not.
Yeah, usually not. But yeah, you're right. You're right. So Daza says, "Oh, there are comic book people going on about box office. Just look at all the Shazam office talk on Discord. It drives me nuts." And I've seen a little tiny bit of the Shazam stuff on Twitter. I don't watch it, but I've seen people talking about like.
That's why you keep that stuff in the see that this is great because it stays in the channels it belongs.
Yeah, I've just seen random things on Twitter because Twitter likes to show us things that from people we don't follow now, and so now I see all kinds of stuff that have nothing to do with me.
Well, you could make that same argument for movies, even where it's like it takes the enjoyment out of it for people if you're constantly talking about like. Unfortunately, you have to sort of self-curate, like
you do,
because the masses are doofuses.
Even though it does kind of suck because sometimes like the people that you do follow, like other people that obviously that have to follow, especially that are in this industry. But then there was so much talk about the ratings, and I was like, I don't give a shit. It doesn't affect me watching the show, and then it was just constant talk about it. I'm like, I can't mute this because I follow them for other reasons. But I'm like, just stop talking about. I don't care about the ratings. It does not affect whether I'm gonna watch or not. I'm gonna watch regardless.
Yeah, the only reason I ever care about ratings is because that's what keeps wrestling on television.
Well, sure, of course, yeah.
That's the only thing I care about.
Saying that, but I mean, I just don't need the constant discourse, especially from fans. Who gives a shit? Watch it or don't.
I wish we could all just like be okay with having like the pieces that we like and just like and not anytime things go tribal, and I mean you saw with a lot of stuff that went on this week on wrestling Twitter, including like just like Dave Meltzer getting hacked altogether and just all of the stuff that's like resonated off of that. It's I don't want anything that's going to make people look away from wrestling. Like if you're already paying attention, I don't want you to go away from it. I don't care if you're a WWE fan or an AEW fan or a Stardom fan, or because like the more of us that are watching, the more there's going to be on TV, and the more
you're right. You're
Kenny versus the Kingle matches we're going to get.
Yeah,
which I'm great with. I mean, Kenny versus Jeff Cobb.
That's going to be a great match.
Thank you.
Keep giving Kenny these matches. Especially
Jeff Cobb has wrestled on AEW quite a bit, and I'm like, use him anytime you get.
If you get, if Jeff Cobb is available, bring him in. I don't care what it's for. I want Jeff Cobb on my TV.
So we referenced last week. We had a chat off there. I'll tell that story real quick if you want.
Yes, please do.
Jeff Cobb, since we're talking about him.
Please do. I'm glad you remembered.
This is
a great story.
So for Christmas, I usually will make some kind of greeting cards for my friends and family, just because, as I told Sam, if I had FU money, I would totally buy everyone presents and shower them like in gifts at Christmas, but I can't do that. So I send greeting cards, and I sometimes do stuff to them, and just fun stuff, something cute. And I've been doing that for years, and I don't really expect anything back. But one of my good friends was at a wrestling show, and he met Jeff Cobb, and he said he decided he was going to buy me an 8x10, and because he knows what a big fan I am. And he told Jeff the story, and Jeff said, "Do you want me to put Merry Christmas on it?" And this was in, I think, April or February, March, April. It was in the spring. And it was like, so I have one of my very first 8x10s that I ever got was one that is from Jeff Cobb. It says "Merry Christmas, Mahalo," and he signed it. And
That's fantastic.
It's one of my most prized possessions in the world.
I love
and
it.
It involves one of my favorite wrestlers. So
that's so great.
And it was like the best Christmas present you could ever get in April, like ever.
That's amazing. I love that story.
I do it for me. And that is special. Like that's
sure. Yeah. Yay. I love it. That's so great. That's such a great story.
Big fan.
Real quick, Daza says, I honestly think that the ratings talk is a thing now because certain wrestling communities don't have pay-per-view to discuss. I mean, it's possible. It got to the point where it was just constant. It was every week. And it was just, they were waiting for the numbers to come out so that they could like attack. And then they were attacking like the women's wrestling because sometimes that was the lower stuff. And then they were like, wait. And then there was like the stupid Fast Nationals bullshit, which I thought, I don't want to get into this QTV thing, but I will real quick. So last night I was writing, because Rampage was last night, my article focus was on how Powerhouse Hobbs does not need QTV. It's distracting from him. We saw it so if you didn't watch Rampage last night, I'm about to spoil it for you. The opening match was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Penta, because the week before he wrestled Phoenix. He actually won clean. Well, this week last week QT was out there and he put Alex Abrahantes in the Diamond Cutter, which is what led to the match this week with Penta. And so QT was out there, Aaron Solo and Harley, which is the woman that's in this QTV scenario. So they're out there. So Harley's role is basically she's filming stuff for QTV or whatever. And then so they get involved, like QT ties the back of Penta's mask to the ropes, but Alex was there to untie it, and so they were out there doing their shenanigans. And then Aaron Solo tried to distract Penta. He got on the top turnbuckle. Penta kicked him in the stomach, and I think he put him in the torture rack, or no, he put him in the fear factor. And so then that left Hobbs to get the belt, and he hit Penta when Aubrey wasn't looking, and that's how he got the win. So now Hobbs is a cheating champion, which whatever, he doesn't need it, but I get the heel, you got to do the heel stuff. So anyway, I was looking because I was double checking. I thought the girl's name was Harley, and I was double checking for my article. And so QTV has a Twitter account, which I made the mistake of looking at. And it's like this, it's just stupid. It's really dumb. And they were just talking about like QTV. Oh, so they had like the clip from the ambulance stuff last week from Dynamite, and they were like, QTV needs to be on the scene. And it was just,
they don't.
And so, but one of the things one of the tweets was about the Fast National numbers. And I was like, oh my God, why are we doing this? And why is Will Hobbs associated with it? It's so bad. And I actually saw a tweet before we got
that stuff. I don't need it.
No, Hobbs doesn't need it. But yeah, so it's bringing in that dumb discourse from Twitter, and now you're bringing it like the Fast National talk, as far as I've seen, has kind of died off, where I'm not seeing it nearly as much. I'd actually kind of forgotten about it. And then now QTV is talking about it, and they're talking about, and then like, I didn't realize QT was wearing a jacket that had a bunch of stars on it because it was something about star ratings is why he was wearing it. So he's like apparently this is part of the shtick. And again, I don't know what this has to do with Powerhouse Hobbs other than it's hurting him because it's dumb and it has nothing to do. I don't like where this is going. Yeah.
I don't, it's nonsense. Like it doesn't do anything to help Hobbs.
No.
It doesn't do anything. Like he doesn't need a manager or an agent or anybody like that. Right. Like he's had all that stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't need any of that.
He's got his thing now. Let him do his thing.
That was the point of my article last night. I was like, Powerhouse doesn't need any of this. And I was like, and it's one thing if QT is his manager, which he doesn't need, but now you have this whole QTV bullshit. And like you've got the Aaron Solo there to distract
into the story for no good reason.
Right. And it doesn't Like
You wanna
he
talk
was
about-
Powerhouse Hobbs was already a heel. He established that when he turned on Ricky Starks. Like he's been an established heel for a while now. Like there's no need to add to it. He doesn't. I don't know what they're thinking. Nikki said, "Thanks, I hate it." Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a mess, and it just seems like they're gonna stick with it for now, even though people. I mean, look how long they stuck with. Like they stuck. What was that? The Nightmare. What it was Brandy and Nyla.
Oh, the Nightmare Factory.
Yeah, no, yeah. So there was that. They stuck with that for a really long time when it should have died, and then they were, they stuck with the librarians for too long. Like I get that some things don't work right out of the gate, and sometimes you do have to give it time to build up. Like I get it, but this just none of it makes any damn sense. Nikki said, I was about to say there's literally no point to this. It's not doing Hobbs any favor at all. You all right?
Yeah, don't mind me over here. Sorry, guys.
No, don't. Just making sure you're okay.
Like I was telling Sam yesterday, it was nice, and it was kind of spring yesterday, and so I was like, all right, it's raining, and it's over 50, and that's Fahrenheit for those of you that are watching from elsewhere, in freedom degrees. And it was like, all right, it's great. So I didn't run the humidifier, but then it decided to be like 20 overnight. And so now I'm like, am I dry or am I catching? So I'm like, no, do not do this to me right now. You are not getting me sick the week of all the wrestling.
Yeah, right. We don't have time.
I don't have time for this.
We do not have time for this shit.
Oh, shit works. It's the other one that sorry, I don't want to demonetize our videos.
Oh no, we don't want to get in trouble for that. Sorry. So I have to censor myself.
But yeah, Fast Nationals are stupid because they don't mean anything anyway.
They don't. And they have literally nothing to do with us. That's for advertising people, and it has to do with commercial. That's for those people who actually get paid for it. That's for them. It has nothing to do. Does not affect your life in any way. As long as wrestling is on your TV, that's all that matters.
They there's sort of this paradox about it where the talent and the promoters and people get really mad when fans get too smart for their own good. But at the same time, you're booking and your talent is they're referencing Twitter and they're referencing Fast Nationals and they're referencing star ratings. It's like, well, which is it? You can't have it both ways. If you're talking about it on the shows, then your audience is going to be talking about it on social media because that's where people talk about shit.
Well, and then that goes back to the point.
Social media.
Yeah, and that's where you go. And that also goes back to the point from the week before where Darby was talking about wrestlers crying on Twitter. You're bringing it into TV because we've all seen it. And so you're bringing it into TV, but then that's the same thing with the Fast Nationals.
But then you get mad. But then you get mad when you don't like. Okay, but not that. That was too far. That was too smart. You smart fans. That was too far. It's the cherry picking that I don't like, and that's on both sides. That's the fans and the people in the business.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
But it's like you're walking a line right now. You don't get to dump on people if you're going to put it in your, like, if Max Caster's going to rap about it or Darby Allin's going to cut a promo about it, or you're going to put the world's dumbest QTV segment on there and throw that in there.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have it both ways.
No, you can't.
In my opinion.
They're gonna, but you're right.
just pick one. You're all of these people could be in politics. They just don't realize it.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. The one who does has a neck tattoo, so.
In the immortal words of George Carlin, anyone can be president of the United States. That's the problem.
Yep. How apropos in 2023.
So here we are.
All right.
So now that we've gotten the mob out of the way,
yeah,
talked about them as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna divert from AEW for a few minutes, and we'll go back to that. But there was some big news that came out at the end of last week, and that is that Trinity Fatu, who is the former Naomi, has confirmed finally that she is no longer with WWE. It happened on her Instagram, and it wasn't like a direct Instagram post where she's like, hey, I'm not here anymore. It was, she had posted about she's doing WrestleCon next weekend. She's doing it both the first and the second, which happens to be the same day as WrestleMania. So people who kept thinking, oh, she's going to show up at WrestleMania. No, she's not.
Thank goodness.
She's not. Yeah. And so somebody commented, and it was somebody who I was looking at his account, and it was like a personal blog or something. So I don't know what he does. Like, he doesn't appear to be in the wrestling industry at all, but like, I guess knows that's obviously what she does. And he was like, so are you still in WWE? Or he said, girl, are you still in WWE? And she said, no, friend. There you
Perfect.
go. It's like, she didn't elaborate. No, friend.
That's perfect.
Right there. Nope, she's not. She's not. And then so she's doing so she's doing Wale Mania on Thursday the 30th, and then she's doing WrestleCon on Saturday and Sunday. So these are her first wrestling related appearances that have nothing to do with going to support Mercedes. So these are her first wrestling appearances since she left last May. Like, she's been doing autograph signings, but they've been
that long. Oh my god.
Yeah. When I was writing the article the other day, I was like, so how long? So May, we're like 10 months. It's been about 10 months since they left. And so, yeah, she's done like different Comic Cons and conventions and things like that, but nothing specifically for wrestling. These 3 dates will be her first wrestling specific things that she has done since then. But she's been doing all kinds of stuff. Like, she walked New York Fashion Week. She walked LA Fashion Week. She's been on, she's done movie premieres. She's been modeling. She's been doing a lot of stuff. And then it came out, like, it was either later that day or the next day, she has trademarked Trinity Star with 2 R's. So it appears maybe she's not done with wrestling. And maybe that's what she's going to, because people, it sounds like I think she's doing it it sounds like maybe she's doing it also for merchandise as well. So it sounds like she's going somewhere, whether that's, Stardom or TJPW, or she's doing maybe even AEW or Impact. She's doing, sounds like she's not done with the wrestling business, which I think is really great, because I think that she barely scratched the surface of what she can do. I think because she would get these moments like that time when she came back at WrestleMania, and all those people were talking about her, and people who don't even watch wrestling were talking about her, and Keke Palmer was like, who is this? I want to play her in a movie. Like, and then WWE did nothing with it. They just dropped the ball on her.
Just like always.
Yeah. So I hope that Trinity is not done with wrestling, because I think that she can do, if she's given the right opportunities, she can do so much more than she ever got to do in WWE.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I can't argue at all. I would love to see her on. It's a great weekend to be free.
Yeah, right. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Go get booked wherever you want to, if anyone.
Yeah. I mean, she could do these if she wanted to. Like, she could do,
the ROH card is on one of these days.
Yeah.
So the Super Card of Honor is one of the days that, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe she shows up in ROH.
Maybe that's true. I mean, she could show up. She could show
round out that division. They'll,
yeah.
I'd love to see it a lot. I mean, I'm always an advocate, especially now that I've watched a little bit more. I haven't gotten to the Princess Tournament yet for TJPW.
Right.
But it's on the list. I had a week.
Yeah, and I have not gotten into the TJPW stuff, but they've got shows this weekend. There's a full TJPW show on, I believe, Thursday or Friday. On I think one of the other WrestleCon shows, there's a 10 woman TJPW match. So yeah,
they're like a weird cross between like Stardom and DDT. It's funny. Yeah. They have like a real interesting vibe. It's totally unique. It's there. But I mean, that's the closest I could come to explaining it.
Right.
But in a great way.
There's even Choco Pro, which is Emi Sakura's, her promotion, which is kind of the same deal, where there's like the serious and the comedic stuff, and they wrestle they don't have a ring that they wrestle in, and like there's
what a great weekend for this is just a networking weekend for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Go meet people.
Daza said she was in one of those god awful WWE Marine movies starring the Miz, and she had loads of presents. Yeah, that and see they could tap it. They could tap into that wherever she goes. And
those movies.
Yeah, I think I only saw the first one. There's like 12 of them. They're like movies. Fast and the Furious.
They're like the canon. No, they're like the canon films of the modern times.
Yeah, I think
ridiculous. I've seen, WWE Studios is, I don't know, man.
Just do your thing.
Weird. That's what you got to watch stuff like Peacemaker. That's better. I think that's that. That's technically DCU. See, there it is. The crossover right there. Mm-hmm. He does wrestling and he does comics. It's a really easy transition, actually.
It is, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can apply most terms. You can. I mean, there's Batista's been in there and everything. I mean, notwithstanding what's going on with The Rock, but you can basically apply the lingo from each back and forth. So it's interesting. It's a lot of fun.
I like teeth movies, but those are too cheap even for me.
Yeah.
There's some bad stuff.
I'll take Krull or something like that over the Marine any day. So yes, I anyway.
Yes, we're happy for Trinity and hope she gets everything she deserves and that she's happy and doing all kinds of stuff. So good for
That's
her.
Great weekend. I hope that she has a good weekend. I hope she goes out and just
you made a really good point about
it's all LA.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
that's a networking kind of town. I mean, in that regard, it will be and everybody will be ready for that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So she could network with so many people there. If she's not already involved in something, then she easily could be after this. Or maybe she realizes, hey, maybe I will do some indie stuff. Like, I mean, Prestige is going to be there. The Santino Brothers Wrestling School has a showcase. Like, there's so many different things that she could hop on. Or there's obviously there's obviously was networking, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So good for her. I hope she has a great weekend.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so I guess we will shift gears back to AEW because besides the Vikingo thing, Kenny, and we alluded to it a little bit, Kenny is in a new storyline. He's in something else.
Holy crap!
Kenny has a story.
He has multiple storylines going on at once.
He does. And
oh my God.
And if you're not familiar with Kenny is very good at storytelling. That's like his thing. Like besides wrestling, oh my God, that reminds
me. Out of the ring, on the Twitter.
Yes, Nikki read a comment from Bully Ray yesterday that said that when he thinks of wrestling, he thinks of Randy Orton, not Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega is the best at something, but he doesn't think it's pro wrestling.
Wow.
Literally, I have so many things to say and nothing to say.
Dude, get off. Just stop.
I really just wish that man would talk. Because Nikki, at first, she was like, I was like, Nikki was down like, you're gonna
Twitter.
See it. So,
put it down.
Twitter's not real.
Just put
so
it
Kenny,
down.
who was not good at wrestling, apparently, even though he just had a 5-star match, and he's had 2 of them this year.
It would have been 6 stars
and I believe,
in Tokyo Dome.
Yeah,
and yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, and I believe Nikki said that she was reading something that Kenny has 22 5-star matches now. After this one, I think he's at 22 now. Yeah, whatever. He's not good at wrestling though. He is good at storytelling.
Well, remember, I mean, a few years back there, with him wrestling Alex Silver was going to destroy his career. So. It's people do this with him all the time. It's so
they always find ways to undermine what Kenny is doing. Kenny is
if Kenny Omega walked on to this, if Kenny Omega showed up in WWE tomorrow, those dudes would be stimping for him so hard that it would be a complete Kenny Omega is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Put all the belts on Kenny. Cody who?
So it's, come on.
Nikki makes a very good point. Randy took a dump in your bag, which is a true story, and you're putting him over the god of pro wrestling. Todd Gallows would like a word.
Yeah.
Actually, I would like a word.
Can I just say how much I love Kenny's Justin Roberts and Kenny Omega's
I'm so glad
intros.
they brought that back. Oh God, I was so happy for that.
This was his first singles match back in AEW.
That's insane.
That
to
should have
think
been the
about.
story.
No, there are no stories in AEW. They don't know how to do that. But they do, apparently, because Dynamite opened with an ambulance backstage, putting the Bucks in there.
Mm-hmm.
Cutler's getting in, Nakazawa's getting in. Kenny is very upset and like wants to go, and Don's like, "No, you have this match that has no story. You have to.
You have
stay
this
for
story, this meaningless, stupid match that no one's ever heard about to carry
but you can't
on
go to
with.
the hospital with your friends,
Right.
And so Cutler apparently texts Excalibur and
We
was
like
like,
sarcasm. Sorry, just throw that in there. Sorry.
So apparently, like, I guess a little into the first match or after the first match, Excalibur gets a text message from Cutler, and he says Blackpool Combat Club did this. They're walking around. They're hills. They're full on hills now. It's a very likely scenario. They're usually the most obvious the most obvious answer is the answer. So it looks like that. So we all go through it thinking, oh, okay, so Blackpool Combat Club has a match later, and there's some AEW on TV. I think it was that account. I don't know who runs that Twitter account, but they're hilarious. They said something like that John Moxley was walking through the crowd like he might have just beat some people up and sent them to the hospital or something like that. It was really great. So then we see later on after the meaningless match that closed out the show, we have a little bit more storyline. We hear an ambulance coming, and Hangman Page has stolen the keys to an ambulance to drive back to the arena with like 3 minutes to go before the show ends. He gets there and he is like coming out to save Kenny. And also, really quick, I'll throw this back. If you don't watch BTE, they kind of address what happened last Wednesday when it went off the air. Hangman got in the ring to kind of protect the Elite against Blackpool, or to kind of even things up. Well, so it just, the show just ends with him in the ring. Well, Cutler always films, their matches and stuff, and they put it on the show. So he had the cameras rolling. Kenny realized what Hangman had done and jumped out of the ring and held his hands up like, I don't want any part of Hangman Page. So there's some issues. And then at the end of the show, Matt sends a group text with himself, Nick, Hangman, and Kenny. Nick responds right away. Hangman responds with a cowboy emoji. Then it says, and Nikki said it right before it happened, Kenny Omega leaves the conversation. So he leaves the group chat. So it ends with that there's issues. So then Wednesday we see Hangman come back for Kenny and try to help him. He's got the weapon. And then Don Callis acts like he's been hit by Hangman Page. He falls down. Kenny's like, what the hell are you doing, Hangman? Like, why would, and then he's like, and then Callis, of course, is playing it. I'm fine. Let's go. Let's just go to the back. Let's go to the back. And so people called it earlier in the show, but it appears that maybe we're not getting the full story. So who do you think attacked the Elite?
Well, now you've made me question everything.
For a show that has no stories.
Who else would have an interest in attacking the Elite?
Mm-hmm.
I hope it wasn't the Dark Order, because they might be mad.
That would be disappointing.
Because they're mad that they don't want Hangman to go back with.
Right.
That would be kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was Bullet Club.
It's possible, because
maybe it was like
Juice is there.
I mean, they are doing that. I mean, they have to start doing some build for Forbidden Door 2, right? Because it's coming up now. Yep. It's just, it's going to be, it's part of the pay-per-views now. So they're going to have to do some they're going to have to not do some story, but do some story that will build up to Forbidden Door that they won't have any build for.
Right.
But the show will be great.
Right.
And we need, I mean, it's possible. Like, I just said that as like a guess. But
right. But you're right. There is a very valid reason. So I do think Don Callis is involved. I think because he wants Kenny to himself. He doesn't want Kenny with the Elite. He is also trying to get Takeshita. Takeshita is currently in Japan wrestling for DDT. So I don't know exactly what his motive would be other than wanting Kenny away from the Elite and trying to control Kenny. But I don't know how that factors in with Takeshita yet. But I do think Don Callis hired someone to take out the Elite. But you saying the Bullet Club has made me wonder if it's Jay White.
Oh, shit.
I don't know, because I don't know if Jay, because I keep hearing both. I hear Jay he's in conversation with both companies.
Limbo.
Who knows how accurate that is? It could just be who
limbo.
knows. We don't. He's one of those people that we don't really know exactly. It's not very clear where he's going. Looks like Kenny's going to be staying around for a while because he's one of the people that they've been talking about where's he going to go when his contract runs up in a year. Well, right now, maybe Don Callis is keeping him here. I don't know. Maybe he's gonna. But yeah, so I didn't think about that until you mentioned the Bullet Club. Maybe it's not Jay. It still could be just Bullet Club in general because
well, yeah, I mean, with Juice there and the fact that there is upheaval in Bullet Club as to who's in charge.
Kenta, and Chris Bay and Ace Austin are all in Impact. They've got a good relationship with them. They could do something there. There's also, this is the 10-year anniversary of Bullet Club this year.
There you go.
So
and Kenny was like one of
he was their leader. And I did mention
earliest
when Nikki and I were talking, when Don Callis, I was like, do you think it's Adam Cole? Could he be involved somehow? Because he got mad. He's supposed to be a babyface. I know that he's the babyface. But
there was division. And remember, Kenny left him in charge of the Elite when he went on hiatus, when he had to go do surgery.
Right.
He was like trying to do the old Elite before they way back.
Yes. And Adam Cole also, when he came back, he had that pinned tweet for a while that was like, I didn't forget or something. And it kind of seemed to allude to the fact that maybe he meant the Bullet Club because obviously they killed him to kick him out. And that's obviously because he went to WWE. So I know that he's supposed to be the babyface, and maybe that's how they're booking because clearly because of the TV show, he has a babyface story right now coming back from injury, like all of this stuff.
So he'll probably need a storyline on the main show.
So I'm wondering
that's how you get actual casual fans interested because they'll watch. Listen, that's how my mother-in-law got involved in WWE. It was by watching Total Divas.
Yeah,
she's one of the success stories of that show.
Yeah, a lot of people did, and so
a lot of women, especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've already kind of started.
That's why we need a women's show on that.
Wow, maybe we do need an all-women.
That Saturday show should be a women's show. It was a man. It was actually holy crap. Sorry, little side tangent here. It was actually a man who suggested to me that their Saturday show should be a women's show so the women can develop their thing and like Stardom and like TJPW and all these other things, come up with their own brand and their division. And then, and that hour would be really great for them.
Yeah.
And
I think, and that's exactly
that was a good friend of mine. They could do. It was a dude, guys. A dude suggested that to me.
Yeah. So Daza brings up a good point. Do you think maybe MJF has his hooks in Callis to cause problems for future contenders?
Those two are very
they are certainly cut from the same cloth for sure.
The same Burberry.
They are cut from the same Burberry cloth. That certainly could be.
I like that idea.
And MJF has no problem paying people to help him if it gets him what he wants. So perhaps he and Don Callis have done some things, and then maybe MJF paid someone to beat up the Elite. because it's a mutual benefit for Callis and for him.
But isn't it going to piss off like BCC to be made the scapegoat? Like they're going to, I mean, if it was me and everyone's like over here blaming me and it's like, I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you looking at me?
Unless they're just playing with it to keep their heel gimmick up, that like we're heels. Yeah, we could beat up the Elite. We could do that. I mean, maybe, but that is a fair point. Daza also says, I think MJF is getting a faction to back him up at some point. I would see that as something to protect him, maybe because, you know, he sort of had the stuff with the firm, and then that ended up being a whole big thing, and he's not with the firm, even though they could revisit some of that stuff if they wanted to, or he could just get a whole new faction. MJF probably needs,
they should, because when he doesn't have the belts anymore, what are they going to do with him?
Exactly. And so if he's got a faction and people doing his bidding, which makes a relationship with Don Callis also makes sense, because then it's mutual for them.
Unless he goes to WWE and they turn him into I don't know, some horrible stereotype of a Long Island Jew that
oh my God,
will only make Vince laugh.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
That's not. Hopefully that's not.
Sorry.
No, but yeah, so there are. So I mean, sure, it could be Blackpool. I mean, maybe because they're heels. And
maybe the obvious answer.
Maybe it is, but maybe Callis is involved. His invisible hand is doing something with handing them some money, maybe. And maybe it is Blackpool that actually did the beating itself, but it was because they're on somebody's payroll.
He didn't really get on last year's Forbidden Door show because Kenny was off by then.
Right.
So that'd be freaking awesome.
Right. So it feels like,
I mean, Takeshita could show up at that show as Don Callis's something as part
and then
of this
we
whole
still
thing.
Before we get to Forbidden Door, we also have
Double or Nothing.
Right. It's either going to be Blood and Guts or Stadium Stampede. It appeared to be Dark Order versus the Elite. But now but it also seems like it's maybe Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite. And then Hangman appears to be on the Elite side, if Kenny will allow him to. It's kind of the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn story there a little bit. Like, so there's a lot of interesting things brewing. And it could play out twice. Like we could see the first iteration of it with Stadium Stampede, and then maybe we get more of it at leading into Forbidden Door. But it does seem like, that seems really fascinating. It'll be really interesting.
Good undercard stuff. It's easy to thread into this. They can do, I mean, if you do the stories similarly, if you set it up a little bit, like I know, like Tony likes to like shotgun right out of and just like do these great matches, which is fine. You can start on that level and then keep that pacing up with working all these things through. I actually think that a lot of people made a point that this whole episode was really good because it had a story. It started with the ambulance and ended with everything that it ended with. And there was like, that was the plot of the episode. And then there were a lot of B plots going on as a separate thing.
Yeah.
It was like, make more shows like this. Just make the QTV parts of them
go away,
non-existent, or 2 minutes or less.
And there's another story that's kind of happening. It's kind of unfolded. We've seen it on TV, and it happened again on Rampage last night because the main event was the Acclaimed versus
and the tag team.
But they had Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker on commentary, and they've been trying to recruit the Acclaimed to JAS. So they even had that little side plot going on as well. I don't know exactly where they're going with that, but like there's kind of whatever they're doing. They've got something like, in the Acclaimed, it's like just basically laughs in their faces every time and was like, no,
we kind of don't need you guys.
That. But
we really don't need anyone.
No, they don't. But I was like, if you had, but the Acclaimed and Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker could be a really fun thing. Like if they just decided, like, if they left JAS and then just the 4 of them did something, like, that would be highly entertaining.
Oh my God, that would be
Like,
amazing.
it would be so funny. It'd be more entertaining than whatever the hell JAS is doing. And I will say, because we're talking about JAS, Anna J came back last night. She
oh good.
Julia was with she accompanied Brody King to the ring because Brody was wrestling Jack Swagger, who talked about his hat like 14 times before he got to the ring.
Jack Swagger, you just called him Jack Swagger.
I mean Jake Hager, whatever.
That's so cute. No. I totally got it. It's hilarious. I do it too.
I didn't even realize I caught him. I don't.
No, it was hilarious. I'm like, thank you. Oh, good. It's not just.
No, I didn't even realize it said it. Whatever.
It happens.
You know who I'm talking about.
I did. I feel so much better about myself. I'm like,
I didn't even realize I got him that. So
it happens. I'm not alone.
But anyway, so he was out there by himself, and then like just during the match, Anna J she comes up and she grabbed Julia's hat, and Julia was like, "Oh no, nobody touches my hat." So I think
I need a Julia hat. That is something I
need I'm hoping that this means that Julia, because it was funny because I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and he was like, "Is Julia ever going to wrestle on TV?" And I was like, "Well, I think they're keeping her on the YouTube stuff because she's not been wrestling a super long time, so I think they're just letting her get in some reps and stuff, and they're keeping her, I guess." She's not really a manager, but she's basically the leader of the House of Black. Whether people want to say it, she's pretty much their leader.
And actually, it would be a better story if she was.
Yeah.
Because she's the most unlikely person to be the leader. Because she's a little cute blonde girl who doesn't wrestle that much.
Yeah.
And she could, if she gets the reps that she needs and does the stuff that she needs.
And she looks really solid in the ring. Like her cheerleading.
Got a good gimmick. I know everyone hates it, but
her cheerleading background has definitely helped her in the ring.
Yeah.
Like
gymnastics will.
Yeah,
dance.
Exactly. So I'm wondering now that Anna, so I don't know if her and Anna J, if this will end up being a YouTube match or if they're going to give them like a Rampage match. I hope they give them a Rampage match.
So.
That would be really cool to see. But I was like, so that would be really interesting. But so there's some interesting stories going on. And I think we're really starting, because it's the end of March. So we're starting to kick off between Double or Nothing, because now we're 9 weeks away from Double or Nothing. And then we've got, Forbidden Door, which somebody on this broadcast is going to. It's not me.
Forbidden Door 2! I am going! I'm
so excited for you.
I'm so excited.
I'm so glad you guys are going. And friend of Fight Game Media, Josiah, also got tickets. So I'm very excited. I hope you guys get to meet up and at least say hey to each other.
Me too. I think there's a couple other people that might be going from the group. If it weren't a 4.5 hour drive or a 3.5 hour drive from here, I don't know. But we sort of decided last year, like, let's set the money aside to do Forbidden Door every year if we can. If we can pull it off, as long as, life does life
especially because you guys went to the first one. So that's a cool thing that you can build off of and be like, hey, I went, like, in a few years from now, and be like, I've been to every Forbidden Door. Like, how cool would that be to be able to do? That would be fun. That would be awesome.
And I'm like shocked. And the seats are a little better, a little closer, but
good.
Whatever. I had such a blast the last time. It ended up being the best show of the year.
Well, hopefully there won't be banners in your way, and you can.
There will not be. I geeked our thingies. Also, that's a proper hockey town. They know when to move the banners. Dummies.
That is very good. Yeah, and it seems like this is like the perfect, because that's going to kick off the Canada excursion that's happening for a month, which is awesome. So it's like, not that Forbidden Door wouldn't be good anyway, like it's already going to be awesome, but because it's going to be such a special thing for them to be able to do the excursion there, like I think that's a really cool thing. And is your bold prediction for this show or for the other show that we're going to talk about?
It's for Sakura Genesis.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
It will ultimately affect Forbidden Door.
Okay.
And there's a couple of reasons. And one of the things, like one of the points of contention that Jeff Hawkins on a Dynamite show took a little heat because he was upset that people were fantasy buying the show based on what their fantasy booked in their mind, and then when they don't get that, they're still going to say it's a good show, and it's like, but it was the best show regardless. But it was the best show of last year.
Yeah,
and that would be my only counter to that. Is like, but empirically, that's okay because last year was the best show of the year.
And I would rather them fantasy book and still like the show when their things don't happen than them to fantasy book themselves into a shoot and then hate it when none of their matches happen. And
well,
then they
I
talk
think
about,
that he thinks that happens to some degree.
Well, I mean, that happened with a Madison Square Garden show that the Elite never said they were going to be on, and
it happened last year and it ended up still being the best show.
Right.
Because people were mad at the belt for that, and Okada was going to be, and then Jay White won the belt, and it was the end of the world. Oh my God! How could Jay White be IWGP
what are you saying
champion?
about Jay? Now you're wondering where Jay is going to go, and if he's working with Don Callis, or if he's going to go be Jamie Blanco in WWE.
Jimmy Blanco. Exactly.
Kiwi Jamie.
Oh God, Jamie Kiwi.
Oh my God, he's gonna end up coming out with shirts that have, like, Pineapple Pete had the pineapple shirts. They're gonna come out with shirt.
No, what they'll do is put him in a Lord of the Rings gimmick or some stupid thing like that. Because Vince is like, that's where they filmed it.
He's gonna be Bill from the Shire.
Yeah, there you go. The tallest hobbit that ever lived.
It's gonna be
I don't know. But
oh my God.
But Forbidden Door, on the Forbidden Door point, sort of all the way back to that, is that I think it's okay to fantasy book. I think that we should probably expect to have a Kenny Omega match on this one because we weren't able to.
Because he was the last one.
He wasn't able to be at the first one.
Right.
I don't think that's fantasy booking. I think that's
logic.
A no-brainer.
And most likely we're going to get the Danielson Sabre match here. Yeah, we're most likely getting that match there because that's kind of been it didn't happen last year. It didn't happen in the Seattle show, which it should have, but whatever.
Well, and Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega happened in Japan. So it's time.
Yeah.
For some changes.
Right. And then there's even been the rumor because Mercedes keeps talking about how much she wants to be involved. So there will likely be Mercedes Moné versus somebody from AEW. There's still the potential. I mean, I'm sure they've got other stuff for Kenny, but it is possible that we get Kenny and Shida versus Mercedes and Okada is still it could potentially happen. I mean, it sounds like they probably have him for a different story, but it's still possible. Or maybe Shida versus Mercedes happens there, and then that builds to a 4-way at another show with them. It's not like Forbidden Door is the only show that these matches can happen at.
Right.
Especially now that there's traveling, there's crowd involvement in Japan now. Like these matches, maybe it's a Wrestle Kingdom show.
And there's Impact shows. There's the Impact crossover. There's the ROH crossover. There's all kinds of possibilities. So I mean, I think. Definitely. And also, at the end of the day, Gato is going to be at minimum one half of that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, in Gato I trust.
He gives me other than the House of Torture stuff, he's usually right on the money with what he's doing. So there was
like a rumor, I guess, floating around that Gato just like took some time off and gave his notes about what he was going to do to everyone last year, and just because he was like pissed off about like not in crowds, and he just And my friend and I were like, based on what's been going on over the last like this entire tournament's booking, basically, I would believe that because it feels like this is the first time since before the plague, that I tuned in to just about every single show for the tournament. I was engaged in all of the main matches. I understood, like I knew the stories that were going on. I'm not getting up for this one, but I'm thinking about getting up for Genesis.
Right.
Which hasn't happened since the last G1 with an audience.
Right.
I mean,
there's some really good stuff happening over
there. I was more than happy, and they've never let me down. I went to the ROH Supercard. I went to the Forbidden Door show.
Sure. So they built up a ton of goodwill.
I feel good about it.
Yeah.
And I don't care I know there'll be big matches on there. We all fantasy book. We're fantasy booking Double or Nothing right now.
Yeah. Right.
As AEW fans.
Right. Well, and we've been fantasy booking a woman's blood and guts match because of the story that they've got. I mean, it's a mess, but they have the parts if they could figure out how to make one big picture. But it seems like that's the logical step, and so that would be disappointing. Like I would be mad if we're doing this whole dumb thing and don't get a women's blood and guts match.
I really hope we do get one.
Because and it's time. Like the women should have had a blood, and so the women can have blood and guts, and the men can have the stadium stampede match. Yep. I mean, the women could have a stadium stampede match. That would be interesting.
I'm into that too.
I would not be
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would be cool, and so it's time for that to happen. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on. I think Forbidden Door 2 is going to be amazing, regardless of what's on it. And then Sakura Genesis. What's your bold prediction about that?
So, for those of you who if you haven't caught up with the New Japan Cup, then should I throw up the thingy here?
Yeah, throw it up there. Nikki and I got caught. The
it's
winner
been a while,
spoiled
but I'm
it.
gonna be good. I'm gonna be nice.
Spoiled it on his Insta story, and that's how I thought. But what's funny is I didn't know who he beat because I'd never heard who was in the finals. So when the show started and the graphic popped up, I was like, "Oh, I did not know that's who he beat to win the New Japan Cup."
That's right. So spoiler alert. There's the picture. We just saw it. Those audio listeners, you didn't see a picture, but where's the spoiler alert? Here it is. So Sonata won the New Japan Cup. And he is going to be wrestling Okada at Sakura Genesis on April 8th.
Mm-hmm. And also, side note, Sonata also left LIJ in the middle of the tournament. Right. And he joined what was just 4 guys, but are now currently just 5 guys, not to be confused with the restaurant chain.
Although plenty of people are making that joke.
Of course they
Let's
are.
Go. Come on.
But go ahead.
Going. Free advertising. And I'm glad you said that because, yes, that's exactly what I was getting to. And so he is no longer with LIJ on top of all of these things. And Naito was pretty hell-bent on going after the title this year.
Uh-huh.
And they keep talking about how Sonata's got to get that Okada monkey off his back because he just has the losing record against him.
Right.
And I put this to a friend of mine who I usually trust. And I said, do you think that Sonata is going over for this belt? And he said yes. And so that is our bold prediction.
I am leaning towards yes. Because
I think that the internet is going to lose their effing mind. And I think people are going to quit New Japan World.
Why?
And who wants Sonata as the champion? And me. You can't have... I love Okada more than anybody on the planet, probably. Maybe the women, I mean, like his actual personals. But as a wrestler, he's my favorite wrestler. Yeah. Like he's maybe the greatest ever.
Right.
But you can't have him as champion all the time.
Okada can't have the belt all the time. He's not Roman Reigns. All the time. Nikki said...
And there's this...
Go ahead. No, go ahead. And I'll read Nikki's comment. Go ahead.
You can read it.
Okay. Nikki said he just had to join Tai Chi. Gross. Yeah, we're still not on... We're still not on the Tai Chi.
I know, but I like Bushimon. They're a good tag team.
Oh no, Bishamon, but they're not. But that's Goto.
Oh, you're right. That's
Goto. But Tai Chi is not. Yeah, we're
not
on the.
You're right, Tai Chi. Yeah, he's kind of funny, and
he'll just lose that.
Kind of ridiculous. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got my factions crossed.
And Nikki also said she also would like Sonata as champion.
You're right.
So there's 3 of us. So there we go.
Yeah.
You can't have Sonata win that tournament basically out of nowhere and then not follow through. It's kind of like the Hikuleo thing where Hikuleo beat Jay White and then he's disappeared. Like you can't do that with Sonata beating David Finlay, the story with Finlay is like I guess, is he the de facto leader of Bullet Club Japan?
I guess there's no
he's not really the leader, and they don't
Gato is Gato getting behind him right now?
Yes,
Gato's doing the Gato thing where he usually the guy he moves in on is the leader,
because he did it with Jay White. And Nikki pointed out how Finley's hair is darker. His beard is now dark like Jay White. The font on his pants is similar to Switchblades. Like they're doing... I mean, not that Finley's not his own person, but they're moving... Because he said, when he attacked him, he said, I'm coming for... You're dumb enough to leave this? Then I'm coming for everything. Right. Which means stepping into that role. Which, there's gonna, and Kenta's over here in the States, so he's not there. And then there, there's ELP, and there's that kind of story that, that they're telling. And so since Finley did not win the cup, then Sonata has to be positioned to do something big. Kind of like they did with him.
Story.
It is a good story. And like you said, like Okada can't be the champion all the time. As much as great as he is, he can't be your Roman Reigns and hold the title for 1,000 days. I mean, he kind of already did that a few years ago.
He's done it a lot. And
yeah.
It's
but
okay.
They need
I
to
don't
give
mind,
Okada something to do. He's got to do something else. And we've seen Okada has kind of got a little more aggressive. Like, he's not a heel, but we've seen him do some things that are kind of out of character for what he typically is presented as. And we've seen him, like, when the thing with Noah, when he got kicked in the face a little too hard, and how clearly the match was still going to happen, but he got kicked harder than he was supposed to, I think, and he took exception to that. Like, so we've seen kind of that aggressiveness from him. So I would like to see a little bit more of that and where that goes. And so maybe we get that when he's not champion anymore. Maybe that then maybe he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to be the nice guy all the time. Maybe he leans in a little bit more to that. Like, so because Okada's got to do something to keep, not that he'll never not be interesting, but I think he's got to do something more. And I think that Sonata is an interesting person, because if it's not him, then who else is it?
It's time for him too. If you don't pull the trigger on this guy at this point, what if you spent all these? They've spent a lot of time on him. He always has good matches with Okada no matter what.
Right.
I think it's his time. I think he needs to, they need to put the belt on him, and he needs to prove if he can be like the Sonata that he is sometimes in these big matches, or if he's the sort of like inconsistent Sonata that sometimes people see. And there's also there's a natural story where if Sonata wins the belt, he took Naito's mind spot.
Right.
So now LIJ is coming after.
Right. And then they also made the point during the final about how basically when Naito won the title a few years ago, he kind of took Sonata with him, not necessarily like he rode his coattails, but like, because Naito was successful, then LIJ was successful.
Right.
And so so now the roles are reversed. Like, he's not in LIJ, but Sonata is, like, if he's the champion, then he is the one. And like, you have a natural story with Naito. And even like, he could have, there's Shingo, like he could wrestle. He turned on all of them. So there's that, like, he could go through, he could wrestle Haramu too, just to,
and that's an all summer story for G1. There's tons to that.
That would be it would be interesting to see what they do for Forbidden Door with Sonata, because Sonata is not somebody that because Sonata wasn't on the last one.
And they've got some Best of Super Junior. They've got Best of Super Juniors coming up, which the adult factions, the heavyweight factions will still do story in, and that tournament.
Right. So that'll be interesting.
Tournament's usually good. I can't wait to see who's in that.
So me too. So assuming Sonata has the title in April, if he's carrying it all the way through Forbidden Door, that would be really interesting to see who they put him up against. And even if he doesn't have the title, if they're pushing him like that, you would think that he'd have to be on the Forbidden Door card, even if he's not champion, because they seem to be going all in on him, which they should. I think it'll be really, and like you said, it's either sink or swim for him now. Like,
it's time. He's been in the program for a long time. He's been on the top, he's been in main events. He's been sub-main events.
And he's been, he was the tag team champion. He's held other titles before. He's never held this one.
I think they may have done this sooner, but because of what's been going on with the things where they did the evil thing, which
did not go well.
Oh, evil.
Yeah. I hope Sonata does not go that route. I hope he doesn't have the same type of
No, I like it. He's in a new faction, so it's open for them to kind of define their own
and
faction.
he's gone
They've
back
got
to like
Takamichinoku, which will be really helpful for when they need the English speaking.
Yeah, and then he's gone back, like he's got his natural hair color. He hasn't been dark haired
Evil Sonata.
He hasn't been that Sonata in a long time. We haven't seen him with any. He's finally got rid of the facial hair, and he's got like somebody last night told me they were like, he looks 10 years younger, and he was like, it looks like they're like really, gonna go in all big with him, which I think they are. And so, yeah, I think that is a bold prediction, but I think it's a correct prediction. I would agree with it. Good. And I think that's where they have to go with it. You can't just, and I was thinking about it last night. They've got to figure out what the hell they're doing with Hikuleo, because you can't have him push Jay White out of the company and then not do anything with him. Like he's
that seems like the natural fit for your leader of Bullet Club right there. So
you would think. I mean, I guess maybe that's the thing.
Maybe they'll have a civil war.
Maybe Hikuleo's coming for David Finlay.
Yeah, maybe there'll be something of a civil war going on there, since they're all technically
Hikuleo will be like, Hikuleo will be like, I am the one who got Jay out of Japan. You didn't.
Yeah, right.
I already did this. Then Eddie came in and had that match, and then you swooped in at the last minute saying you're coming for everything, but I did all the work. So I could see Hikuleo versus Finlay being the thing now. So maybe they've got to do something. They've got to follow through with Hikuleo. They have to.
Agreed. He's too cool and too good of an opportunity for them. And I mean, like you said, that's a great point about the Jay thing.
Yeah,
because that's just even more natural. So, but that was, so that's what I'm. I think it's going to be really fun. I think we've got Dantaku and Genesis. I think before Forbidden Door, because Dominion's usually like the first weekend in June, so it'll be right before. And the only AEW show I think between those is Double or Nothing.
Right.
So there'll be 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember if Dantaku is after the G.
Excuse me. I think so. I can never remember.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's Genesis and Dominion, and then Dantaku's after the tournament.
I think Dantaku is after the tournament.
And that's where they do the last suitcase battle before the...
Right. Then we also have the coming soon video that was teased of someone who is... I'm going to just say it right now. That is not Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. I'm going to tell you right now. I do not think that's who that is.
Who do you think it is?
A young lion is where I'm putting my bet. As I'm thinking, because it's clear to me that is a wolf. It looked like wolf's fur. It was a wolf's growl. I don't know, but I wish Brad's not here. Brad made he made a really interesting observation that he thinks it could be Drew Parker. Drew Parker. He had his final death match in Japan. Well, not just in Japan. The match happened in Japan, but he had his last death match ever. He's decided that like he sacrificed his body for 6 years. He just wants to wrestle regular matches. But apparently he's also very good friends with Despy. Apparently New Japan has had some interest there for a while. And like they showed like boots in the preview that I was like, Danielson doesn't wear boots like that. Just because it's a red eye does not mean it's Danielson. And I was like, well, the red eye could be blood from hardcore matches, maybe. I don't know. So I think Drew Parker is a possibility now that Brad has mentioned that, especially because, if they've had interest in him, he's friends with Despy. But my guess was probably it was a young lion coming back from excursion is kind of what I thought about it. But I definitely do not think it's Danielson. I want Danielson to be in the G1. I just from that ad, and I was some people think it's Jay White.
I mean, he could come back.
He could.
He could. It makes the most sense to do AEW because the I can't wrestle in Japan anymore bull crap.
Yes. Right.
Because then he can wrestle now. And it would be hilarious if he came back before June, because then he would run around telling everyone that he sold out the Scotiabank Center. And
there you go. See?
I just would, because like I said to Sam, He didn't sign back up in time to sell this one out by himself.
He did not sell Forbidden Door 2
and it
out.
sold even faster. So
yeah, maybe it's because
maybe
they thought it's because Jay White is going to be on that card because he's coming to
That's gotta be
AEW.
it. That
So
would be
he sold.
really
So
funny as-
then he
that
sold
would be
out
funny
Forbidden
as
Door.
hell. If he showed up on that card,
And he'll be like, "See, people
I
thought
sold it out because people knew I would be here because I can't wrestle in Japan.
I can wrestle in Canada."
That's right. Oh, that's so good. That'd be hilarious.
Yes.
See, I'm not. I know it's going to be fine and good and awesome and so exciting. And anytime I love to travel anyway. Anytime I get to go somewhere new, it's always fun.
Yeah,
this is a drivable one, so it's going to be hilarious. I definitely, at least it sounds like, going to get to meet up with a couple of the Fight Game Media people in real life.
Good.
I was really young. We were really young in our time here last year, so I didn't really know the people that were there. That were there. Like we didn't know each other really well, so it was tough to hook up. To meet up like adults.
Right.
But this time now, I mean, we've all talked for about, over a year, and I know people are in the area, and there's some people around here that might be going as well. So it's really cool.
That's really cool.
It's going to be a good time no matter what. And we're going to Dynamite on May 10th. So we'll see what kind of party we get here in Detroit for that. And
I'm got some exciting stuff.
Really excited about where New Japan is right now.
Yeah.
It's back to being my primary thing again.
I have a feeling it's going to be, I'm going to probably be leaning more into that too. Especially when like the OSJ
this tournament. Plus I love TMDK so much.
Oh my God.
And Ichiban, sweet boy.
Yes. And they've added Robbie Eagles to TMDK.
Right. I know.
What? Yeah, TMDK is great. And then TMDK is killing it in Impact too. Like I heard Tito and Shane Hayes had a really good match at Sacrifice.
So happy that Mike Gilbert mentioned
I did too.
This guy is
amazing. Welcome to the Big Teats fan club.
I answered him. I was like, we love Big Teats. And I always, every time I see him or hear him, I just get Chris Shelton's voice in my head because he's the one who has to make the Big Teats.
He loves the Big Teats. Yes.
Big Teats is back for Genesis, I think. And he made sure to tell everybody.
That's amazing. So. And then, they were filming, I know they were filming shows for this weekend. And one of the matches they were filming was MDK versus Motor City, which I cannot wait for, because that also leads to a match we will get to in a minute when we cover.
Oh yeah, we got to get to the
matches. Yeah, we need to get to that.
There's
so many shows that are happening. I was gonna go down each show and talk about matches.
We're not doing that.
I don't know if we're gonna have time for that.
My dogs will kill me. They'll break through this wall and they'll try and
there's
eat
just
me.
so many good matches that are happening next week. Like there's like not even just like I think Multiverse United has some killer matches.
What the hell? So and the two shows I am definitely buying just before you start are Bloodsport and the Multiverse show.
Yeah, that Multiverse show is definitely be because the Multiverse show. I guess we'll stick with that for a second because we're already talking about TMDK and stuff. So the match I'm like, there's some really great matches, but the match that I'm looking forward to the most, which I've talked about on here already, is Bullet Club / ABC, which is their other name, versus TMDK versus Aussie Open versus Motor City. Like that will probably be one of my matches of the weekend. Like I cannot wait for that. That is like out of those four, Motor City is my favorite tag team. I've been a fan of theirs for years, since the beginning, since I've seen them. Huge fan of theirs. But then I mean, Aussie Open is probably one of my favorite tag teams right now because
Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher in their singles showing in there. What the hell?
They're so good.
They've got new fans. I know that they've been great. They gave one of the best FTR Aussie Open matches last year, and Royal Quest was one of my friends' like top matches of the year.
Right.
But oh my gosh, those two.
Yeah, they're on like a different, I think because they have the confidence because they are getting booked in New Japan. They're getting, which, it's funny because before all this happened, and we talked about it a few weeks ago, Mark tweeted that he had not seen Kyle since the End of the World Tag League in December because they had not been booked anywhere. They are not contracted by anyone, which is insane to me.
Nuts.
So now
they're getting money, gentlemen. Go get paid.
They are getting, so they're being booked in AEW and ROH. They're gonna be on Supercard of Honor. They are in, which we'll get to that in a minute. They're gonna be in. They've been on a couple of episodes of that. They're on that card. They're in the Reach for the Sky ladder match. Mm-hmm. They're on that. They're wrestling in Impact. They're wrestling in New Japan. Like they're wrestling everywhere and they're putting on incredible matches. They had a really great showing in the New Japan Cup. People got to see them individually, what they can do, which I thought was really cool. Like amazing. Davis versus Ospreay, we did go back. So we only ended up watching three matches from round 2. It was the 2 you suggested. It was Goto and
Fletcher.
Yeah. Really great match. Fletcher looked great. Like we talked about, Goto's always having sleeper.
He just has these like out of nowhere amazing matches.
Goto's like one of those reliable dudes. Like that's a guy who doesn't need a story. Like just put him in a match and he's gonna impress. And I hope he gets to come to like. And he was on Forbidden Door last year. And was he who was injured?
He wasn't on it. He wrestled. Remember him and Tana had that match for going to Forbidden Door.
Right. And then
everyone lost their mind because they were like, I don't know who this guy is. Yes. And I was like, I'm really sorry for you. You should go figure it out.
Now you're gonna know who Goto is. So
he's like Ishii, but he looks like that and he wrestles like that.
Yeah, he's very good. He's
his own version in terms of reliability. Like
yeah. And
he's been IWGP heavyweight champion.
Yeah,
Ishii hasn't.
That is a very good point. Goto's always, never sleep on Goto. He is always gonna have, even if it's not a banger, it's still a solid match. Like he's always, that dude is Mr. Reliable. Anytime I see Goto, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna watch this because I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yep.
Goto is great. And then Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shooter was amazing.
I know you.
Oh my God. That was my favorite match from the tournament. And I know I missed out some matches from round 2.
It's okay.
But, oh my God. That match was so good. I loved it. And I cannot wait until that 15-minute match they're going to have because I hope Shooter wins it. I love Zack Sabre Jr., but I hope Shooter wins it.
Yeah, I had a moment where I was like, it would be kind of cool, but it would kind of be a letdown if Zach still had the TV title and wrestled Danielson. Because, like, on the one hand,
I don't think he will. I think they will drop it by then. But yes, you do have a good point. Yeah, because
on the one hand, it would only be 15 minutes, and that's like you want to see them have a 40-minute banger, right? Or something like that.
Right.
But
could you imagine them having to go within that time limit of 15?
That would be the greatest 15-minute match in history.
Yeah, exactly. And then they talked about it during one of his matches that Zack Sabre Jr. will hold a move for 6 seconds, and if you don't tap, he'll switch to something else. So could you imagine him doing that with Danielson in a 15-minute time limit? I want the 40-minute match, but I also want the 15-minute
But I wouldn't like cry about it as much as like people would be like, oh, it's only going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be like,
but it will be 15 minutes. That's going to be the best 15 minutes of your day.
They will take 40 minutes and pack it into 15 minutes. Yeah. And they're 2 brilliant wrestlers. It'll probably be a fucking 7-star match in Canada.
Right?
And then what happens? Then the scale's completely busted.
Yeah, exactly. But then, and then Davis wrestled Ospreay, and that was phenomenal. That was such a good match. I really enjoyed it. And those 2 were great singles wrestlers, but they're amazing tag team. So I'm very excited for them. But so back to Multiverse. We've also got because Ospreay is injured, we have Tanahashi versus Speedball, which is gonna rule.
So awesome.
That's gonna be so
about
cool.
A makeup. God.
Yeah,
we can do it. Oh well, we can't have Ospreay, so here's Tanahashi.
Here's the ace of the universe.
Okay, yeah, it's exactly what I said at some point.
Sorry, Speedball. Give you that. Yeah. Then there's
he must be stoked.
Yeah.
He's had so many good matches, but geez.
Yeah, Speedball. Last year, Speedball killed it at the Collective. This year, I think he's gonna last year, besides Moxley, he was my wrestler of the year, and he's still probably my wrestler of the year so far this year. He's been killing it, and we're gonna get to a couple of other matches that he's gonna have this weekend, which he's about to have some more match of the year candidates. But yeah, then there's Kenta versus Suzuki is on this card.
Oh wow, that's gonna be a chop fest.
Yeah. So that's gonna rock. So that's a match that could also be 15 minutes and still be amazing.
Yeah.
Like if that's what they get, they're gonna be so good. Then there's also the women's match now has a slightly different meaning. So the women's match was already announced beforehand. So it's Masha versus Deanna versus Giselle Shaw versus Mia Yamashita. But now, because Mickie James was injured during the last set of tapings, and so she could not compete at Sacrifice for the title, she does not know how long she'll be out. She hopes to be back before Rebellion. So now, because Jordan was supposed to wrestle her, the match at Rebellion there's two possibilities. It will either be Jordan versus the winner of the person at Multiverse United, which is out of the 4 women I just mentioned. If Mickie James is cleared to compete, it will be a triple threat match for the women's title at Rebellion. If she is not cleared, she is vacating the title and will give it to either Jordan or whoever wins for Multiverse United, who also, if they win the Rebellion match. So now this match has even more significance because it is a potential title match. Well, it will be a title match regardless, whether Mickie is in it or not. So this now has huge implications. And so the match was already going to be good, but now it's even more interesting because they could potentially be champion after Rebellion in April. So that will be, I'm really looking forward to that match too. So there's some really good stuff there. And it sucks that Josh Alexander got hurt in general, but so he couldn't compete at Sacrifice. He had to vacate the title. He can't get his multiverse match. So it was just horrible timing. And so their 2 biggest stars were injured at the same time, which sucks so much. And if you've listened, if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to it, Brace for Impact did a quick breaking news episode that's like 22 minutes or so. It's really good. They break it down. They talk about what they should do, but it is Impact. But they made the point of how Impact doesn't really have any secondary stars. There's nobody who can really step up into that position, because even though you've got like a Frankie Kazarian and a Jonathan Gresham, they're not booking them to be.
Yeah, I need to check. I need some BFI catch up because there's a couple of videos I want to watch. Their CM Punk video, and I want to watch.
I need to watch the Punk video, but
topic.
I got that. They have some really good ideas of what Impact could do. It'll be interesting because they had tapings this weekend with no champion. So
I saw them talking about that they had put that video up. I was like, I need to get caught up. Quit putting out.
Yes. So if you
are 20 minutes, I just need to get to them.
If you're subscribed to the YouTube channel,
let me put that up there. That's actually a perfect way to point that out.
If you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, which you need to be, because we're going to be doing a couple of different live streams.
Oh yeah, that's a great point.
We'll definitely be on our show recapping, because I'm going to be watching a ton of wrestling next week. But I believe we're going to do a recap show after Supercard of Honor on Friday, and then the Impact people are doing they're doing a multiverse episode, I think, on Saturday, but we'll obviously put up all that stuff on the Fight Game Media Twitter. We'll retweet everything as well. So just make sure you're subscribed.
Keep your eyes on. Subscribe to the YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe to YouTube, and because we're going to be going live
for us.
Yes, I will
help you.
Yes, put on your reminder bell.
We don't have a set schedule this week. We do for some of it, but not for all of it. And you may see us come up with some 20-minute or 30-minute.
Yeah, you may see us pop up here and there. We'll definitely be here at our regular time next week, talking about a lot of stuff, because I'm going to be watching a ton of wrestling.
Mel's going to keep a tally.
And Mel's going to watch
wrestling.
her. Yes, and Mel's going to hold it down for WrestleMania Night 1, and she's going to recap that. I'm going to try to get into some of where I. Have they said for sure what the main event for night 1 is? Have they confirmed that it's Charlotte versus Rhea, or have they said that it's going to be the Usos?
Kind of mostly confirmed that it is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they confirmed that the second night was Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I knew that had been confirmed, but there's been rumor. I didn't know if the night 1 main event. So I will.
Friday they made it 100%.
Okay, so I will try to. I'm gonna try at some point to watch. If depending on what time I get back from wrestling on Saturday, I may try to like go back and at least watch
Watch a couple.
because there is a couple things like I will get to. We'll talk about the WrestleMania.
I'll give you a crib sheet and you can.
Yeah, so I will, but so we'll preview night 2 and all that stuff. So we'll definitely be here at our regular time next Sunday, but there's going to be a couple extra shows on YouTube this week. And also, if you're subscribed, I would also go back and watch yesterday. If you've been following YouTube, and on the Patreon, they've been doing the Road to WrestleMania. Yesterday was the final episode. I did check that out, some of that show out yesterday. And it was some good stuff over there too. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, just make sure you're subscribed because we're trying to bring a lot of content to you.
Well, there's a lot going on during WrestleCon, and there's a lot of different people on this network who are interested in different parts
and
of it.
Some of our Fight Game Media people will be on site for WrestleMania.
LA.
I believe so there's a lot going on.
So some of them won't be able to be in their normal places at their normal times because they'll be driving and wandering and going to live events. So you might have people like us popping on here so that we can talk to them over there. But
I will be. If you
want, the only way to know is to subscribe to our YouTube and hit that dingling button. You're not a dingling.
You are one if you don't click it.
If you don't click it, then I'll call you that.
But also, I would just recommend. I was gonna say I would recommend following me, but also on Twitter. But maybe as a warning, I will be tweeting a lot about the wrestling shows I'm watching. Also, baseball starts on Thursday.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I have opening day. The Braves play, I think, at like 1:10, and Santino Brothers starts at 2. So I will very first world problems, but I will have the game probably on the iPad, and I just
realized when you reminded me about that Reach for the Sky match being on ROH that I really want to see that. So I guess I'm getting now. I know I'm getting 3 shows for sure.
Okay, so we'll talk about the other shows that you are watching. So we'll get to Bloodsport real quick. Bloodsport's it had to have some changes because there was a terrible person and he's no longer wrestling, and so they've changed the card up a little bit. But one match that did not change is Kota Ibushi versus Speedball Mike Bailey.
Right.
Is happening. So there is another match of the year. Also a match has no story. there's no story here.
Kota's been out of wrestling forever. There's no story at all.
Also, I would like to caution you people, especially when you watch Joey Janela's Spring Break and you see Ibushi versus Joey Janela. If you only know Kota from New Japan and or the Cruiserweight Classic, you might be surprised by what you see. This man spent a lot of time in DDT Pro.
That's such a great point. I didn't even think about it. I saw very surprised people.
Some people got mad when last week on the GCW show, Sexy Eddie, Sexy with 3 X's, wrestled Matt Cardona. At some point in the match, he lost his trunks. He did a naked moonsault. And some people on Twitter were upset about it and said, someone said, please keep Kota Ibushi away from this. And Joey Janela quote tweeted it. This is before we knew Joey was his opponent. He said, that man was just naked on Twitter 3 weeks ago for no reason. Which is true because Kota was pantsless. He was on Twitter.
Trying to show us how he could take off his underpants without
right. And here's change falling. So he's wrestled a blow up doll.
That guy
Kota puts fire. There's video. People kept posting pictures. He's put a lit sparkler in his mouth.
Guys, don't let the face fool you. That guy is a crazy monster inside.
He is. So please prepare yourself so Kota versus Speedball. Probably just going to be blood.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that Ibushi there. But if you watch Joey Janela Spring Break, or if you see GIFs or clips, just prepare yourself because he's probably going to be naked. There's probably going to be all kinds of stuff happening. Also, I will also warn you, if you watch DDT, either there's DDT Goes Hollywood, then there's DDT X GCW. I believe DDT X GCW, I believe that is the show that is going to have Pheromones versus Bussy. Pheromones. I'm just going to warn you. If that's not your thing, totally fine. Sure, you don't have to like it. That's okay. You just need to prepare yourself for the gifs and videos that you are going to see. Because I saw a gif, because I was not familiar with pheromones until a friend sent me some clips. There were some clips with people not having pants on, and another person getting his face ran down the back of these people with no pants. This is how you get pink eye. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this.
Pretty much.
So I don't know what's going to happen with Effie and Allie once they get involved. So just people, please prepare yourself. It's okay if you don't like it. Some of us do. I don't know that I don't know what to expect. I'm expecting to be completely surprised, maybe a little grossed out. But I'm just warning you, even though Twitter is not real, you're probably going to see some
trigger warning.
Just going to tell you now. Just some trigger warning. But just want to throw that disclaimer out there.
I think that's smart. I think that we're looking out for you guys. We really care about you.
We do.
So
if it's not for you, fine. It's cool.
Like what you like.
Yeah, like what
and
you
like.
And
if you don't
you're
like
probably
it,
not going to like some of this stuff. So
There's
you might not like Kota Ibushi at Spring Break, because I don't know what the hell's going to happen. There was also some references to Kenny Omega from Joey. So
we'll see.
I don't know that Kenny will be there, but who knows?
With Kota being in the win, that's always going to be somebody.
Yeah, Kota.
People are always going to be playing with that potential.
Yeah.
I mean, we know how.
And if it were going to happen, it would be at the Collective, because apparently, though, there's not going to be a clusterfuck match this year at Spring Break.
Huh.
Because apparently they're Joey, that's what Joey says. There's too much going on and too many matches. We'll see. Because last year's clusterfuck had like 30 participants. It was like an hour and a half long. It was like 1:00 in the morning. It was interesting. It was a good time, but yeah, we'll see if that happens. So Bloodsport, back to that, where we have serious wrestling. Yeah. We don't have gimmick matches here.
Mm-hmm. No.
That's not allowed.
No ring ropes, no nothing.
No. So it was originally going to be Bad Dude Tito versus Jeff Cobb in a rematch from Strong that they had in December. But now that has not happened because Moxley needed a new opponent. So Moxley is wrestling Alex Coughlin now, which I think will be a very good match.
Yeah.
Because if you're not familiar with Alex Coughlin and what he's done in Strong, that is somebody that can go toe-to-toe with Jon Moxley. That's going to be
a good match.
That's probably going to be a star-making match for Alex. That's going to put Alex on the map for people who don't pay attention to Strong.
Yeah, agree.
I think this is going to be really big for him. And I have a feeling that Moxley handpicked him, and that's why this match is happening. Awesome. And we changed the card around. So now... so Jeff Cobb is wrestling, what was his name? I should have written it down. It's a Scottish wrestler. Calder is his last name, I think. Why? I
forget.
It's funny because he and I follow each other on Twitter. I'm not super familiar with this guy, but
not anymore. You can be like, this chick shouldn't remember my name.
I know. Sorry.
I'm kidding. No,
you randomly followed me, and so I followed you back. But yeah. But so then now we have Bad Dude Tito versus, as Mike Gilbert gave us this nickname, Yummy Mora.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. And so it's funny because I quote tweeted it because, as you know, if you have seen Yuya, you know that he has very nice hair.
He does have nice hair.
Tito has nice hair, and in this picture, it looks very nice. And so I was trying to find a gif, and so I ended up going with the Taylor Swift gif from Shaken Off, where it says, "To the fella over there with hella good hair." Well, Tito responded and said, "It's me. I'm the one fella with the good hair." And I said, "Well, your hair is great. Does it fall back? Do you flip your hair forward and it fall back where into place with perfection?" Because that's what he does. And and I put a gif of him doing that. And he told me that the rumor he has heard that Yuya wears a weave. So I will be doing some research during this match to find out if he does, in fact, have a weave. And I think you're muted. Are you muted?
Yes, because I was drinking.
That's fine. That's okay.
Here we're getting.
So now we have to. So now you are aware as well. You can also do some research, and then we'll compare notes to see if Yuya is in fact does not have real hair, while Tito claims that he himself has real hair. So
hair. They're going for the hair.
Instead of them beating the crap out of each other, we're going to focus on whether they have real hair or not.
Well, listen, guys. I mean, Tana has the best hair. We all know that.
That's what
you may as well move on.
Nobody has hair like Tana. Tana is
although Shota is trying very hard.
So I was gonna say Shota is like
he's channeling his inner AC.
Then we have, and if we're gonna get on the hair topic, because it's been a topic on Twitter lately, Mance Warner has grown his hair back out, and he looks wonderful with it. His hair is very nice, and so people have been. Apparently, there was a thing that they were mad that Mance had really nice hair and then chose to shave his head, and Manders was like, I'm very jealous because I can't grow hair, and then this man is shaving it because he wants to. Matt Cardona said the same thing. Like, he was like, why would
Rocky Romero lost his hair because he lost his hair to Volador Jr. this past while.
He sure did. He lost his hair too. So I was like,
thank goodness. Hairy and unhairy time.
So sometimes in wrestling, these are the things that we talk about is hair. And thank goodness this is not a hair versus hair match, because I would be sad because they both have great hair.
Bad. Yeah, no, leave their hair alone.
And then we also in this show, there's some other really good matches, but Josh Barnett versus Timothy Thatcher.
Oh yeah,
student versus teacher. That's gonna be
this is my kind of. I like the hard hitting.
We talked about this last year. Was both of my. This was your first. Last year was your first.
Was my first Bloodsport ever.
Too. So that ended up being the show that like Mel and I really enjoyed.
That stuck.
So
that was this. And then they put this card together.
Yeah, this card is great. And then we didn't even cover all the matches. Those are and like.
Well, that's other people. We're going to be here a long time next weekend.
Yeah, people within Fight Game Media are really talking about Bloodsport as well. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a show that we'll definitely be talking about. And then since we're going to skip some of the other stuff of what we're talking about, let me go down here to Supercard of Honor real quick. So Supercard of Honor is going to be, it's got a great card. So we talked about the Reach for the Sky Ladder match. So this is going to be to crown the new ROH Tag Team Champions. And Lucha Brothers were the first, we saw on Rampage. I believe it was the first entrance will be the Lucha Brothers. Now we also have Aussie Open is in this match. The Kingdom, Top Flight, and then Rush and Dralistico are also in this match. I can't figure out who I think is going to win. I was like, the Lucha Brothers kind of make sense because of the reason he wanted them, because obviously they're brothers, and he wanted but I don't know that because they've been, for the most part, have tried to keep ROH and AEW separate for the last few months. I mean, we will see Dalton Castle and the boys this week getting murdered by Blackpool Combat Club, but I think it's because they needed to feed them a team, and unfortunately. It's them. So I don't know. So do Lucha Brothers take the ROH, get the tag titles, and then stay on ROH for a little while? It's certainly possible. But the Kingdom, they're the OGK, that's a tag team that you associate with Ring of Honor. I kind of see it being them, but Top Flight has been wrestling over there a lot. They have a story that's going on with the Kingdom, which is why Top Flight came out and basically got Maria because she was interfering, and they were like, and so Top Flight came out with that. So it seems like Top Flight and the Kingdom are going to keep feuding regardless. So I could see maybe they put the belts on the Kingdom and then Top Flight kind of go after the titles possibly. But this is definitely
brothers. Top Flight are brothers too, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So
and then there's Rush.
I mean, that would be
and then Rush and Dralistico are also brothers. Yes, and Rush was obviously he was ROH World Champion for a while, so they could go that route. So this one seems kind of up in the air with how I think it's going to be
that.
Great. Yeah, this one I can't predict.
They're going to wrestle their asses off, though, is the point.
In a ladder match? God, this is going to be incredible.
But also, it's just because of what it is, too. I mean, the background.
It's going to be a really special
match.
They're
going to wrestle their asses off.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that has a heart would. Yeah. I mean, they would already have wrestled their asses off on this match.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Now it's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
So
for sure. And
that,
then
I forgot all about that. I am now buying the pay-per-view.
yeah,
I
it's gonna
realized
be.
on that alone.
Yeah.
I know it'll be fine. It's
Yeah,
always good.
no, but yeah, for that match alone. But then now we also have like Samoa Joe is wrestling Mark Briscoe for the TV title because Mark has said, if you're not watching ROH, Mark has said that this is, and he apparently had been open about it before. He's always wanted to win the TV title. He's never held it before, and so that's how we made. That's our story. Is Mark Briscoe's never held that title and he wants it. So, and Samoa Joe's like, come get it.
Nice. Let's go.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's going to be on their they also announced Vikingo versus Commander.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. That's on this card.
It is on this card.
Okay.
But it was announced for GCW first because they're having this match in Atlanta on April 21st. Except the only difference at this point is Vikingo versus Commander is for the AAA title, which in GCW, if I remember correctly, Vikingo has not defended the AAA title at any of the GCW shows. He did defend it on the show that I went to. I don't think he's defended it. So this match at Supercard of Honor will be for the title. I don't know what happens with GCW. Like, I don't know if GCW is just like, well, we announced this first and this match is going to be awesome, so we're going to do. So I don't know if it'll be a rematch, if it'll be a match, or maybe it's a rematch for the title, or if it's just a non-title rematch. I don't know how they're going to handle it. But regardless, this match is going to be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers have wrestled each other a billion times, and it's always been good. So
yeah, right, exactly, right.
I'm sure
and that's one of those matches you
frustrating, but I think
it is.
At this point, you're going to run into that because people are going to want the same talent on those shows,
right? And you're going to want to use Vikingo where you can use him because Vikingo already has several matches Mania weekend as well. He's wrestling. One of the matches that he's wrestling at WrestleCon is him versus Commander versus Black Taurus, which is yeah. So that's going to be really cool. So Vikingo's already going to be there, and they worked it out. So he'll be at Supercard. This match has not been made official yet, but I'm sure it will be made official this week. Athena challenged Yuka Sakazaki 2 episodes ago. She's been in Japan and says she's dodging her. And so I'm sure Yuka will probably accept. And this match will probably happen on Saturday, and it's going to be incredible. But then Eddie Kingston, he quit AEW, and he went to ROH the next night and immediately came for Eddie. He was like, I want that title. And they had, if you have not seen it yet, I retweeted it when it happened, and I will post it again. They had a sit down segment with Caprice Coleman, and it was phenomenal. Like, just Eddie they did not get physical because Eddie promised he wouldn't get physical, but he was seething at the things that Claudio was saying. But Claudio said some really brutal things to him, and I don't want to give anything away. Just take, it's like 5 minutes, but just go watch it. Like, it was really, really good. And so Claudio finally conceded and was like, fine, I'll give you the match. I don't think you deserve it. I definitely don't think you're worthy of holding this title, and you're going to do what you always do, and your temper is going to get you. And so it's just, but he said some really brutal things to him that made this match even more personal. And this match is going to be, Eddie may not win, but I don't know what's going to happen here. I can't tell where they're going with this, but Eddie is going to murder him.
Awesome.
He cannot wait to get his hands on him. So Supercard of Honor, I think, is going to be incredible. And so last night they're like, Rampage will be on at our regular time on Friday. I'm like, you mean during Supercard of Honor? I'm like, listen, Rampage, I will get to you later.
Yeah.
Watching Supercard of Honor. So that's just 3 of the incredible shows.
Yeah, right.
Next week. We haven't even touched on, there's so many good matches next week. And then there's WrestleMania, which the main thing I'm looking forward to at WrestleMania is besides night, we'll get to night 2, but now night 1, the main thing I'm looking forward to is the Usos versus Kevin and Sammy. That's the story. I mean, I do think regardless of where Charlotte versus Rhea is, I think that's going to be a good match, and I think Rhea has to win here. I wanted Rhea to win at their first Mania match, but I think she has to win here.
Well, they've been making the story that Rhea wasn't ready, and now she is. Yeah. And so to me, if they got to give it to her.
Yeah, they have to.
That doesn't mean they will, obviously. We know how that goes.
Right.
But in terms of like the logical way that they've been building this up is that this is her coming full circle and taking down the most important wrestler in WWE in the women's division.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean,
and then you've got the Judgment Day stuff, which that's a really big faction, and you kind of have
as lame as they are, people love it. So.
Right, and they would benefit right, and they would benefit from having someone with a title, and it should be Rhea. If anybody in Judgment Day deserves a title, it's her.
Actually, it would make Judgment Day more interesting if it was her.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
nothing against like
no, from the little bit I've seen of them, yeah, I would agree with that statement, and especially
in general. And the Dominic Mysterio angle is like the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life.
If Rhea has the title, that man is going to be insufferable.
I was so glad that they just did on SmackDown on Friday.
I saw the clip of it.
They just said, yes, we're going to do this match, and they're not going to do any shenanigans. If they're going to do shenanigans at the Hall of Fame,
right,
they will be different shenanigans. I don't think they should be doing shenanigans at this year's Hall of Fame with them doing Andy Kaufman and Muta.
I think that's the only reason they're inducting Ray now is because they're going to do shenanigans and they wanted to. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh,
stupid to do. I don't
like it, but I think they're gonna.
They might still do shenanigans because WWE, and you'll have to have some shenanigans. But my idea was that I liked that they announced it on SmackDown because they're putting Muta and Andy Kaufman and people like that into the Hall of Fame this year. And as much as I don't think the WWE Hall of Fame matters that much because, like, the guy that murdered Bruiser Brody is in there.
Right.
Like, I don't care. But if you're going to, like, front as something cool, those are some people that are actually, like, those are important pieces of wrestling history.
I was reading this thread the other day about, it was about Muto, and he was like, I don't understand why they're inducting me. I've never wrestled for them.
Like one time.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's definitely for show, and it was also how they got Nakamura over there and whatever.
Well, it was worth it.
Yeah, for Nakamura it was worth it. So yeah,
I'm sure for Muto it isn't worth it too.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he's not gonna be like
care. What does he care?
Yeah, exactly.
He's had like such a wonderful year. I mean, that Noah show like is still
at the
top of my
list. I'm gonna watch it, but I was like, I gotta get through all of this stuff first.
Yeah, that
and
show
then
is amazing.
I will get to it. I do wanna see that show, and
that's gonna be like I would honestly, this is no joke. I would go buy a DVD of that one.
Damn.
Like to own it. I want to get one of Forbidden Door 1, obviously.
Sure.
Like I'm sure I can do it. I just don't look. But just in terms of like having it historically, physically, like there's very few things, and I know there's this like big move back to like physical media and stuff. And sometimes I just like to own the physical copy of the thing.
Sure.
And that's something that I would consider.
Yeah. That sounds like that would be something. Yeah, I'm definitely.
It's just good. It was really well. They just did a really nice job.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list of things to get to. But I was like, let me get through all of this stuff first, and that way I have time to sit down and like enjoy it from beginning to end and watch all of it and pay attention. So yeah, I definitely want to see that. And then I guess as far as night, because I assume if they're doing Charlotte versus Rhea, then Bianca and Asuka are going to be night 2. I assume.
I would assume so. I don't think so. I
can't
remember which thing they're.
That match I'm obviously interested in. I'm a fan of both people. I don't watch enough to be tired of Bianca, as I've heard some people are. I do, on the one hand, like I do want Bianca to three-peat, because for her being the first woman to three-peat, I think would be incredible. And it would solidify her as Miss WrestleMania. So I think that would be a really cool storyline. But on the other hand, it's Asuka, and Asuka is incredible. But I also do not trust them to book her properly as champion, no matter what they say, especially if they keep trying to say that Vince is not there. But then we keep seeing his fingerprints on stuff. Like they refilmed a segment the other day because they used the word wrestler in the segment. And so the man sat in Gorilla.
There's definitely his imprint is pretty obvious.
He's definitely involved, and he doesn't like Asuka. So.
Well, they
don't trust them.
I don't necessarily. I mean, to me, that one is like my pick would be Asuka, but I'm pretty sure Bianca's probably gonna.
Yeah, and like I would love because Asuka.
It'll still be a good match, though.
It'll be fine. It's gonna be a great match. It's gonna be a banger. Like
they'll actually wrestle.
Like Bianca said, I want to have a banger at WrestleMania. She's definitely gonna have that. I just don't know. It probably should be Asuka. I don't know that they will. And even if they do, I don't know what they're gonna do with them. And then of course, I really want to see Reigns versus Road, which we'll get more
yes.
into that next week. But are there any other matches from Mania that you're looking forward to?
No, I think you got him because I mean the big storyline is the thing I've been most focused on. It's the thing that keeps the most captivating thing out of the whole deal. I mean, the Bianca and Asuka match is something I'm looking forward to because I think the two of them can do a good job. Rhea and Charlotte can both wrestle, so that should be at least a halfway decent match if they let them wrestle and don't have a whole bunch of like outside interference.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
To let Judgment Day stay in the back.
Especially Dominic. They should definitely wrestle.
Like if Rhea
Dominic has his own shit that he needs to worry about.
He'll hopefully so. And then and then Finn's got Edge and stuff. If Rhea is gonna win here, Rhea has to win clean. Like she has to beat Charlotte clean. Like she absolutely has to. So I hope that's what they do. I don't trust them for anything. So we'll see what happens. So but I do want to say quickly, Cody posted his, like he said he was gonna do it, but he posted his weight belt. And he said before that he was gonna put every single indie that he wrestled for on it while he was away from WWE, and he did. And I saw the picture of it before we went on air, and he did. It looks really cool. It's on the inside of the belt, and he has and so I got to see. It was cool to see PWX. I mean, PWX isn't a thing anymore.
It is a thing. It's a thing in your heart.
It was a thing, and Cody. That's where I got to see Cody. That's where I got to meet him. I got to get in the ring and take a picture with him. I got to sweet him twice during the match, and so it was a really cool moment. And so it's really cool to see. I think it meant a lot to Cody to be able to do those indies and to put him in the position that he is in now. But even it put him in the position to build AEW. But he got to be that run that Cody had on the indie scene and in ROH was a cool thing to witness. It was a cool thing to get to be a part of, and just a small aspect of getting to see him at PWX. Saw him on ROH a few times, like. Then I got to go to All In and see like what AEW became. So it was really cool. But I think it's really cool that Cody he loves wrestling so much, and to see him pay tribute to, especially because, and a lot of times in WWE, they look down on the independents, even though that's where they get a lot of their talent from. I mean, they cut promos about wrestling in bingo halls and VFW halls and things like that. So they product wise are very down on the indie scene. And so to see Cody take that position to kind of highlight what he did on the, and they don't talk about, they typically don't talk about anything but WWE, like it's taboo, like no other wrestling promotions exist in the world. And so for Cody to be like, no, these people, like, they helped me and they let me live my wrestling dreams. They let me wrestle. I got to do all of these cool things. I got to meet fans, and he did. And so I think it's a really cool thing to see Cody like appreciate that moment, that he didn't just because he's WWE now, that he didn't forget about that time that made him what he is now. Like that if Cody hadn't done what he did, he would not be in the position that he's in right now. And I think that's really cool that he acknowledges that. So
yeah, agree with that. There's no reason for him not to.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, if we're all being honest, like some of the stuff that gets wound up, it's like, yeah, but who cares? It's just like what at the beginning, it's like, who cares where people work and what.
Yeah.
He's happy, and that's what.
Who cares where they get paid? Well, and that's like exactly what we were just talking about with Trinity. Like we want Trinity, go get paid, go work wherever you will.
Exactly
go.
Right.
Go where you want to go. So yeah, so I'm really excited for next week. There's going to be a ton of wrestling and a ton of matches, but this is the fun stuff. This is like why we watch wrestling. We get to see random matches we never thought we would see. Like I never thought I was going to see Ibushi versus Speedball.
No, that's gonna be, I mean, yeah, I really excited. I mean, WrestleMania, what's nice is that it's built this whole like thing around it that can be fun for everyone. It's kind of, it is, I mean, showcase the immortals, all these things, but it really does. I mean, it does make for a great weekend.
It does. And, and I was talking about that I was actually talking to that about a friend, because they were like, because Joey is going to be the one to face Ibushi, but, Joey doesn't usually he doesn't usually book himself against the bigger stars, but, and he made the point, like, this weekend stuff would not be what it is without Joey Janela doing spring break for the first time. Like, he is what kind of started driving this force. And whether you like Joey Janela or not, like, he deserves a lot of credit for what this weekend has turned into, because he had, and GCW was like, all right, run with it. And, and it's become, and especially pre-pandemic, like that was such a huge thing, the More Than Mania stuff and all these shows that are running. And now, and it's still happening.
Like in New York, when we were there was like shows everywhere.
Yeah, and it was the same thing
all
when
over
they were
the city.
Yeah, and then when they were in New Orleans, and there's all these places. So I Joey Janela deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, there's other people obviously too, but I mean, he had the brainchild, and then Brett was like, let's do it and see what happens. And now it has turned into this thing. And so now independent wrestlers can network, and they can get in front of people who may not have seen them before. And it's a really good thing for everybody. It's exposure, and it's the more wrestling, the better, and people getting paid, which wrestlers sometimes don't get paid a lot of. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this weekend.
Me too.
And so definitely make sure you're following us on YouTube, or subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we'll be popping up with shows. Definitely follow us on Twitter, because we will tell you. We'll post it there too. I will be live tweeting stuff, I'm sure, all random. And because this is on the West Coast, it's gonna be
it's gonna mess with the time.
I think like For the Culture is like one of the shows I really want to see, but it will be on at 3 a.m. here. So I will, depending on how my work day goes, hopefully Fridays can sometimes be a little on the quiet side, so I can have it on while I'm doing some stuff. So I'm hoping I can get to For the Culture during the day on Friday, because I'm really looking forward to it. I'm always look forward to For the Culture. But yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of good stuff. Make sure you're following us. We'll provide content. I'm sure I will also be writing.
She will
as well. And then come hang out with us next week while we recap everything I watch, and see what Mel comes up with how many hours of wrestling I watch.
We'll try and I'm gonna try and keep track again this year. That was pretty fun.
Yeah. But yeah, so thanks for hanging out with us today. Let us know what you're looking forward to. Tell us in the comments, or tweet us and tell us what matches you're looking forward to, or what shows you're looking forward to, or you'll be watching. And we definitely want to know what you guys are watching too.
Definitely. So we will see you next week. Happy Mania Week, everybody.